Alright, I'm going to do some upgrades to my mini mill here. I recently installed this Masso Touch screen controller to it, working pretty well. But I've decided that I want to make some more improvements to this thing. I recently added this little, adapter so that I can add airflow to cool it, or to blow chips out of the way. I'm not going to actually cool it, with any kind of fluid, in the space that it's in. It's just, that would just be a huge mess. Not interested in that. It was working, and then this magnetic switch started giving me some fits. So, electrically it's fine. It's getting all the voltage, but it's probably dirty contacts or something in there. But I was thinking about cracking it open and repairing it, but it's probably just more trouble than it's worth, considering that you can just get them on Amazon for a few bucks. And, to be honest, I like the looks of the black one better than this older yellow one. So same model, same 5 wires, as before. So should just be a drop-in replacement. And so that could be as simple as just remove this cover, remove the switch, replace the 5 wires, and you're done. But while I had it open the other day and was looking at it, I was like, well, there's probably some more that I could do, because I've got this little tachometer here, spindle speed indicator, that is kind of bothering me. It's always bothered me since I got it. It's like when you buy these things, they just, they attach to just a regular DENS connector in the back, and then they've got these little magnets. So, the most meant to just kind of go on there, but it just looks janky. So I think we're going to want to do something a little better than that. So what I was thinking is that, okay, well, what if I just replace this whole box, right? Because if you open it up, actually here, let me open it up and I'll show you. Okay, all right, so it's opened up. You can see it's just basic, box here. We've got main controls going, power data going over to the main control board, which is in the back in this, plastic enclosure back here. The output to our little speed sensor thing. We've got a fuse, and then our switch, and then we've got our speed control and our status indicators, at the front. So pretty basic box. What I'd like to do is take this guy, this controller, a similar situation here. There's just a PCB inside of an oversized box. I'd like to integrate this PCB with LCD into this box, and then maybe even move my, I'm not shooting that very well, move my start-stop buttons to the front so that they're a little easier to reach. And then, so if I could move them down to like that, add this box over here, then I can just have a single control panel that gives me everything that I need. I might actually move these things around a little bit more. I kind of like the speed being close to the knob, and then these indicators being located over here, more proximate to the switches. So something like this. That's getting pretty wide. I mean, not like that at the end of the day, but if I bring it in tighter, it doesn't end up being too much wider. And we already had to have the clearance over here on this side anyway, so that we could reach the buttons. So even though it becomes wider, you're not really losing any space. And then if I use the one that we're going to actually have here, if that goes there, and then I could put the RPM across the top, maybe move that dial up, and then add the button or the indicator light somewhere that makes sense. Make a nice little front panel for it so that it's all clean and tidy, and yeah, it could be a nice improvement. So let's take this apart, take some measurements, and get it into CAD and see what's happening. I guess one thing to consider is that a lot of these guys don't want to come out. Right? So this fault switch is connectorized. The power LED, oh wow, look at that. that thing has actually come apart. So maybe that will just pop right out. Yeah, look how janky that is. Got the resistor integrated with it, but whatever. So I should be able to get that out. I can get that out. I can get this out because that's just a screw nut in there. The fuse will not want to come out without being desoldered. Not a big deal. And then this DENS connector, yeah, it's not going to want to come out. So, well, there's a connector back here, so I might be able to slide that through. I'll give that a shot. The same thing for this big connector. Yeah, so I might just have to unsolder the fuse, and that should be about it. So let's give that a try. Let's take it apart. All right, well, so I got that apart. What do we have here? This is the fault indicator light. Pretty easy. Fuse holder. Looks like they got a 10 amp 250 volt fuse rated in there. Power indicator. This is the connector, so that the input for the tachometer display that was on the back of the control housing. Won't be needing that. And then here's the potentiometer. Looks like this little PCB just does some pass-through connectors on it as well. It's probably a 10K pot or 1K, whatever it is. Not going to need to change that. We should be able to just mount that right back up. This is the old switch, power switch. This is the new magnetic switch. Old housing, pretty basic, just a little box with some holes in it. And then this is the LCD display, so you can see much smaller board, just a ton of wasted space inside of this thing. Don't need that at all. So, and then there was the cable that came out the back of this thing. It's over there. Not going to need that either. So probably what I'll do, these are just JST. Those are probably 2.5 millimeter connectors. I'm sure I've got some of those over on the bench. So I'll just make a new cable. The jumpers from here to the input was on that board, and that'll be super easy. And then we just got to figure out what the layout's going to look like on this stuff. Kind of like something where the knob is either to left or right, somewhere close to where that thing's going to be. Have a fault and power indicators, so how when you turn the light on, or when you turn the power on, the light comes on. And if you got a problem, this thing screams at you. Pretty basic, really. If I wanted to make it tinier, might be able to keep it more narrow. Yeah, that may not be bad. Kind of tighten it up a little bit. Have these at the bottom. Not exactly the most coherent layout, but if you can do that, then it's not going to be. It wouldn't need to be any larger than what the factory box was. And by getting rid of this beefy connector inside, save us some room, and then the fuse holder. Probably just put that on the back like it was on the original. So yeah, let's go get this stuff in the CAD. So I'll need to take a minute and kind of model some of these parts. Just that I have something I want to do like super high fidelity, but just something enough to get the critical dimensions in, and then go from there. All right, so I took a few minutes and modeled up all the main components that we're going to put in here. I got the power switches, the rheostat, the lights, and then I did the little LED thing. So get those roughly positioned, kind of how I was thinking when I had them on the workbench in there. So then now those look pretty good. Come in here and start laying out the front panel for this, making all the projections for the different components, so that we can knock the holes out of that panel. You're just tweaking and orienting and iterating on it over and over again until I kind of get the things just the way I like. Once I get the front panel kind of sorted, then I'll print out a first copy of that, double check all the dimensions before I proceed with printing the entire thing. So I'm trying to iterate Here I put some labels on there, and it'll show everything here. But once I get it, modeled, then I just pull it into the render view just so I can have an idea of what it's going to look like. There you can see the the text on the labels and the little kind of magnitude scale that I put in there for the rotation of it. I didn't show printing the test samples and stuff, but I did. And then here, then I pull the final parts into Bamboo Studio. You saw me in there using the paint fill tool so I can set the color of the text elements. Printing it face down because I intend to get the best results. Smooth. Nicely. Kind of integrated. Lettering. Into the main face. And I pedaled around a little bit trying to do variable layer heights, but because I had multiple parts in here, it just wasn't behaving the way I wanted. So I ended up saying, screw it. I'll just put the entire thing at 0.08 millimeters, and there we go. All right, what do we have here? So here's the back plate. Cable installed. Looks pretty good. Just need to put our little fuse holder in there. And then the front panel. Yeah, how do I control that? Yeah, everything works pretty well. Printed well, just not the numbers for the speed range. But I knew that when I was printing it. But I've got a 0.4 millimeter nozzle in the printer. I really wanted a smaller one, but everything mounted in there cleanly. So I think I'm gonna wire it up, see if it runs. I need to build the jumper cable for the display, and then should be ready to go. But here, let's mount that up and see what it looks like. One second. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Pretty pleased with how that's turning out. Let's go. Go finish wiring this thing up. All right, well, that project's done. Less than a day. Not bad.